first night I arrived, I was immediately walked to the hut of the witch doctor, because the Catholic priest who I worked out the details of taking me out in the middle of nowhere and setting up a clinic thought it was really a good idea for me to meet the witch doctor. And because he knew that there was a potential conflict and it might be serious. Well, I wasn't worried about the witch doctor's medicine, but he was really worried about the witch doctor. And I didn't know why. And he didn't really explain it at the time. And I really should have been more skeptical about what was going on. But we marched up to the top of the hill on the edge of this little village, hut, multiple hut village. And the top of the hill, there was a 10-foot radius, 10-foot diameter hut with a 10-foot flag on the top, a red flag on a pole. And inside was the witch doctor, and we caught him doing some witch doctor stuff. And he had a book in his hand, and he was doing what I considered incantations in front of his patient. And when he finished, the priest who was with me introduced me. Of course, I didn't speak Creole. The priest spoke English and Creole. And I had a little conversation through the interpreter with the witch doctor, and I was basically said, I'm here to help, and I look forward to working with you, and I'm glad to meet you, and if I can be any help to you, let me know. And so as we walked down the hill, from the top of the hill where the witch doctor's hut was, the priest looked at me and he said, did you see anything that was really strange? Since this was my first night in Haiti ever, and I had just spent 5 hours in a Jeep going into the middle of nowhere, I kind of giggled and I said, yeah, I think it's all strange. He says, no, he says, Tony, he says, didn't you see the book he was reading from? And I said, oh yeah. I said, yeah, I noted that book. He said, well, that book was a Baptist Bible. And I went, oh, that's really cool. I mean, he's reading from the Bible. And he looked at me kind of strange. The priest looked at me kind of strange. And he said, no, Tony, he says, it was upside down. I realized that the witch doctor, he needed to have some Western type of validation. And he picked the only book that probably was in town was the Bible. And he was reading it upside down.